back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I'm here today to review two fairly short little books that I have recently been sent by publishers. The first one is a sampler book, and that is this, The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic, which is by Leigh Bardugo, and this contains 3 short stories, and it's a sample of a book that will ultimately contain 6 short stories. The other one I have to review is this lovely one. It's called Beneath the Sugar Sky, and it is book 3 in the Wayward Children series by Sean Maguire, and I was so happy to have this. So I'm going to start off with The Language of Thorns. This is a book that I didn't request. I didn't know anything about it, in fact, until the package turned up at my door. But I am quite happy that it did turn up, because it's definitely something I wouldn't have picked up normally. I'm not a huge Leigh Bardugo fan, I have to admit. I have read a couple of her books. I've read Six of Crows, and I started the second one, which I can't even remember the name of right now. And I just didn't like either of them. I gave Six of Crows like 2 stars, and then the second one I DNF'd. So I'm not a huge Leigh Bardugo fan. I also didn't love the Shadow and Bone series. I think I read the first one and just thought it was okay. So I was a little bit hesitant when I heard that this was a collection of short stories all set in the Grishaverse, which is her universe where she sets all her books. But with that said, you totally don't need to know anything about it for you to get everything from these stories. They are basically fairy tales and mythology. It's a story or a collection of stories that are just fairy tales. Their history, their mythology. They don't really have anything to do with any of her other stories, or at least these 3 in here didn't. I don't know for definite what the other 3 stories would be like, because I only got the first 3. So I really liked this little collection. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think you should go into this expecting a story, because it's basically 3 fairy tales, that's all it is, and it definitely has a twist on fairy tales, so a lot of them feel very familiar to you. They feel like she's just taken something that she already kind of knows and she's playing with it, which is what she is essentially doing. And that's fine, but for me the main thing that raised this above to a 3 stars rather than a 2 is that it has illustrations that are absolutely gorgeous. The illustrations are by Sarah Kippin, and she is obviously great because the illustrations, let me just show you, they are just absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Now I love the illustrations for this book, and what I also liked about it is that as you go through the story the illustrations grow and shrink, so that's quite cool as a concept. Now for me personally, this didn't tick all my boxes, because when I read a short story collection I want something fresh and imaginative and quirky and new, and this doesn't feel like that. It feels like a rehashing or a reimagining of older stuff. It definitely feels like twists on fairy tales. I think if you do like fairy tale retellings, this would probably be a book that you would want to get, because it does appeal to those readers. Personally, I'm much more of a come up with your own imaginative stories than reread old stories person, so I didn't love it. But that's not to say it's bad. I definitely thought that each story had its own sort of point, and as a book for children, which I think this is actually aimed at, it would be very, very good. I was sent this by Hachette Children, so I guess it is being published as a book that would appeal to all ages. And I think it definitely would. I think it would certainly appeal to younger readers, younger teenagers, maybe not like kids, but definitely like younger readers who are reading on their own. I think they could read this quite happily. It does have a few darker undertones, but nothing terrible. And I enjoyed it. It was an interesting, fun little story with some twists on like Hansel and Gretel and some twists on like a sly fox and things like that. So it was definitely interesting. I definitely liked it, but it wasn't like anything totally reimaginative to me. I did enjoy it more than I enjoyed Six of Crows, but yeah, I don't know if that's really a worthy comparison, because they're totally different things. This is short stories, that's a novel. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars overall in the end. Moving on to this one, which is Beneath the Sugar Sky. I am so glad that I requested this. I'm definitely excited to have it. It is the 3rd one in a series that I have just been absolutely loving. I really liked the first. The second one blew me away completely and I loved it. And this one was, again, a really fantastic story. I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's just a great continuation. The series so far has followed a collection of different children who have gone through into various other magical worlds through portals. Sometimes they stumble into them, sometimes they are opening wardrobes, opening doors, falling into rivers, all sorts of things can happen, and they go into magical worlds. And the first book focuses on the kids when they come back from these worlds, when they accidentally fall out of their world and they get back to Earth and they just don't know what to do with themselves, because some of them have lived there for an entire lifetime and they come back to Earth just the same moment when they left, and it's really hard for them to sort of mentally process what would happen if you'd gone and you'd lived an entire lifetime and then you came back and you were thrown back into a child's body again, still having all the memories of your time away. So it deals with that, which is a really interesting concept anyway. The second book then narrows it down, so instead of following a group of the children as they are together in the recovery home, they actually follow two of the children as we go back in time and we see their story and we see the world that they went to. This follows a few of the children from the first book. It kind of goes back to that storyline and follows on from there, rather than the second storyline in the second book. So I really enjoyed it. I definitely feel like this is a really solid continuation. I will 100% be picking up the next one in the series. I'm assuming there's going to be more because this has fantastic potential. In this story, we're following a young girl called Rinny who turns up at the Wayward Children home, and she sort of just falls through into the world and says that she's looking for her mother. However, it turns out that her mother is actually dead and has been for a while, so it's a bit strange that she even exists because her mother died before she gave birth to her. Hence the magic nature of these worlds and the way that things work. So she is from a land of kind of nonsense where everything is made out of sugar and candy, hence the title. She needs the other children's help to find her mother and fix things in her own world. So everyone who is there at the time, which is mostly new characters but some old ones, kind of gets involved and they go on a big adventure through some other worlds and find some things out. What I love about Shauna Maguire is that she deals with topics in a really fun way. She writes about serious issues in a light-hearted, enjoyable way, and she gives these kids a really good adventure, but also makes them have self-discoveries and have interesting, fun adventure moments that are just really, really cute and lovely and exciting and imaginative, and she just does it really, really well. This is such an effective series and I could totally see this going on for quite a while because the way she set it up, there's a lot more to learn about how the worlds that these children go to kind of interact. There's a lot more to learn about the histories of these children, the worlds that they've been to. There's so much that could be unlocked in this series, and I just see it going from strength to strength really, because it is just a fun potential of different books. And I think the fact that they are novellas, so they're a bit shorter than a novel, it works perfectly for this kind of storytelling that she's doing. I really, really loved it. I have no doubt that a lot of you guys would love it as well. This comes out in January, so it's a little way off, but I would highly, highly recommend checking it out because it's definitely one that I think you will enjoy, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully there being more in the series. I know they've not announced it yet, but I'm hopeful. So that is my review for that, and I gave it a 4.5 stars. Do let me know in the comments which of those two appeals to you the most. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.